It is the gift that keeps giving. I love whenever controversy stems from anime episodes because of the amount of drama that we can farm. It is just like more fun, honestly, to consume this than actual anime reactions. So if you guys don't know, ReZero Season 4 Episode 3 was amazing. Truly just horrific, shocking, just psychological thriller. The way that the deaths were done, it was unlike we've seen from ReZero. I think we've seen some horror shocking moments here and there, right? Like in season 2. I think the kiss of death is really memorable to me. Or some like gory moments like the rabbit eating Subaru from inside out. But this one, my fucking god, it was well done. But it got so disingenuously glazed to the moon that we've already made multiple videos about what even episode of the year means. You know what I'm talking about? When you start talking about anime episode of the year, can you truly state that this episode is episode of the year or even episode of the season or even like better than some of the other seasons that's aired? To me, there are so much more impactful moments in season 1. Again, I name episode 7, 15, 18, even 3 for the amount of aura farming that Reinhardt had, right? These are moments that truly did move me. Emotional payoffs, right? In season 2, again, there's so many other moments. Fucking loved when Roswell revealed his face to Subaru and stabbed through Ram. Like that shit was actually shocking. Or even like the reveal that he had a gospel as he's monologuing about Natsuki Subaru, don't make a mistake next time. These are great moments. Payoffs that can only be done because there was so much to build upon. This was an initial hurdle, something tricky happening, and it was shocking. But episode of the year, that is, I don't think so. If you want to believe it's episode of the year though, I think you can have all the right to do so, right? It's just a subjective thing. But episode of the decade, at this point I have to wonder, is this guy actually retarded or not? I don't believe for a second this person is a girl either, by the way. Every once in a while I notice that Okeanomics provides this she/her pronouns in the fucking tag. No, I think this is just a Turkish fucking grifting account that just is only glazing ReZero in the worst way fucking possible. I don't think this person is stupid though. I don't. I think that this is a pretty smart person that has figured out a hustle in creating their own community and some sort of social media presence farming ReZero. Their contributions for regarding like the translations or other accessibilities of ReZero to other people I think is great. But when you start doing shit like this, it is like so beyond ridiculous. Can anyone really treat this seriously? And there is some interesting back and forth going on and why I think this person is just, again, a bot. There is no honest intention. It is all just hyper fixating on ReZero only and trying to put others down. Who actually thinks this is episode of the decade? For this to be episode of the decade means that you have to now place this episode above everything that we've seen throughout seasons 1, 2, 3. Season 1, I think, still counts within the decade, right? It's getting a little, the timelines are getting a little bit blurry because a decade has passed and season 1 has aired, but let's include season 1. Do you really think that this moment was that impactful beyond those moments? I don't think so. Nope. It was an amazing episode. It was a peak episode. But to say at the decade means to override those other episodes in ReZero. But beyond that, if you think about what this means, you're not just comparing within the ReZero category. You are now comparing the episodes with other anime that came out. To say this is utterly ridiculous, bizarre, retarded even, and only something that could be said by someone truly just delusional and retarded, or someone that has an agenda, which we know this person has. They have an agenda to glaze ReZero as much as possible, because they love it. And then they work backwards. There's no rationale or logic provided. It's just, how do I justify a conclusion that I've already made in my head, rather than going into it open-minded and figuring out for yourself, how did this episode feel? Immediately, of course, vote, 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 because what matters the most at the end of the day? Rankings on IMDb, my anime list, hey man, I get a lot of motion. I don't know if I'm just broken human, but this still doesn't hit season 1 highlights for me. No, I agree with you. It doesn't, because the season 1 highs are, again, what is it? Emotional payoffs, rather than like being shocked. For example, this could be an equivalent scene of, let's say, in the mansion where Subaru dies while he hears like the mace being dragged in the dark. You know what I'm talking about? Of course, I'm not comparing the degree and the severity of the, you know, emotional reaction you guys had from those moments. But what I'm trying to compare is, these are episodes where it's like a hurdle. You faced a problem and it was shocking. This one, clearly more shocking. Is that going to be better than the actual emotional payoff of even when Subaru jumps off the cliff? I think that's more impactful. You know what I'm talking about? This is ridiculous. You're just edgy. That's okay. No, I think that this means like edgy because I don't find gory death impactful anymore. I feel like it's the exact inverse, right? Edgy would mean that like you found something so shocking and thrilling and maybe that moved you. But to other people, I think actual like payoff in sort of some sort of emotional investment and finally it being realized, that's where it actually comes from. It's also pacing. Season 1 had time to give you dark and horror elements. Here it's kind of fast. No, again, I gave you another example of said moments. This is comparing two separate types of episodes. I don't think this is a pacing issue. If it was a pacing issue, then you couldn't even acknowledge the horror aspect being laid out. The episode was actually quite slow, but intentionally slow in the darkness to kind of give you this eerie feeling of what is going on. Is the miasma fucking us up? And then shit starts to pop off, right? If pacing truly was an issue, then we wouldn't even feel that build up into the horror. People are mistaking me by comparing it to episode 15. This chapter was about a dark gore and hype. It was never about despair. That's why episode 15 is a lot different, of course, a lot better. And again, not just that, the emotional payoff, right? It's not the complete resolution of that arc, but 15 genuinely was a masterpiece, and Betelgeuse coming in with the maniacal character acting, Rem's sacrifice into walking to the mansion, and a cinematic cut off of the head. So fucking good. That, in my opinion, even though it is not the complete finish or character development or resolution of that arc, that was a payoff moment for me. It was so fucking good. Nostalgia could be part of the reason. This is good rationale though. I think a lot of people are held back by said nostalgia. This is like a feeling that it's also an anchoring effect. You know what I mean? Basically, anchoring is when you watch something for the first time, you chase after that high. The more that you consume that thing, the more that it's going to become normalized, and it's hard to elicit that first time reaction. And season 1, you know, arc 3 for me again was that high that I'm still trying to chase, and hopefully season 4 can deliver on that, right? I agree with this statement a lot. A lot of people, but the last episode was better for me. Some people like genuinely loved episode 2 even more. Episode 11, and this is the other thing too, right? I'm pretty sure if this is going to be episode of the decade for him, then every subsequent episode that's going to be better, because it can only be better, because these are moments that's really going to be payoff moments, right? Then is it going to be episode of the century? How often are we going to do this? You look at the GOATs, bro has seen 3 animes. Who takes this shit? Okeanix hasn't watched any other anime other than ReZero. No wonder he's such a dumbass, and that's even though ReZero is god. ReZero is amazing. But again, a person like this representing ReZero is probably like the worst type of ambassador that could exist. And it's poetic, actually, that all of their glaze and trying to set up ReZero to be this godlike fiction is then taken away from average well-intentioned people that sees posts like this, or even posts like this. This is a very interesting thread. I know the term episode of the year has been overused this year a lot, and probably also by Donut himself. I think if there's anyone that is guilty of spamming and getting expectations high, it would be Donut. Because of his love for animation, you see staff listing come out, peak, right? And that's to hype it up. And then after it happens, after the dust settles, then we can actually make a conclusion of something. So in terms of hype marketing, Donut does that a lot. But in terms of actually calling something episode of the year, I don't think this person really goes on like that. But in my opinion, if there is one episode that fully deserves that title so far this year, it would be this one. You guys aren't fucking ready. And this is where it gets very interesting, and I'm going to provide you some other receipts that I've noticed regarding Okeanik's disingenuous opinions. So this is the upcoming Witch Chat Atelier episode 5 that's gonna come out. Bug Films truly has been delivering godlike animation, and I think Witch Chat probably is the best produced anime this season in terms of animation power, right? I think that there are other shows probably with like better soundtrack, perhaps voice acting, whatever, artistic design. I think Ridiculous Reincarnation actually might be my like unique artistic anime of the year. But in terms of like what you would traditionally think about animation power, probably Witch Chat from the animes that I'm seeing right now, right? And you can look at the staff, and apparently this is gonna be so fucking insane, right? I think the term episode of the year has been overused a lot this year. You're the one overusing it, retard. You call every action episode you see episode of the year. But this is, I haven't really seen that. I've seen Donut claim that this could be, but as soon as it comes out and dust settles again, I don't see them making a disingenuous claim about what actually happened, you know? At least not from what I've seen. But what I have seen though is Okeanik saying retarded things like this disingenuously. And a year is crazy. Before we go into this, thread, I need you to understand something. This person, for some reason, absolutely fucking despises Witch Chat Atelier. And I can't really understand why. Time after time, there has been random tweets that has been popping up in my timeline of this person just schizoing out about how Witch Chat Atelier is some sort of DEI anime, some sort of Nepo kid industry plant, working with, the mangaka is so focused in the West, Kodansha and United Nations and whatever. And if you just look at this person's page by using this search query, let's read some of the things. Again, before we go on to this thread, I need you to have an understanding of the background lore. Everyone who loves anime needs to boycott Witch Chat Atelier, or anime will become the next Netflix. People, what does that even fucking mean, by the way? Anime is already on fucking Netflix. Netflix is a fucking distribution platform. Are you talking about Netflix like remakes? Netflix originals? Maybe it's that. People don't understand how serious it is. If it is not stopped now, 5 to 10 years later, every anime will be your average Netflix American show. Witch Chat Atelier has very aggressive marketing. And I'm just like, what am I missing out? I genuinely want to understand. Because my initial gut instinct is, this is a schizo fucking post. This is some weird propaganda talking about how Witch Chat Atelier is designed to corrupt Japan from within, to be more like American Netflix shows. Is it anything even close to Netflix American shows that we've seen? Has Witch Chat ever indulged in Western woke identity politics? What are we missing out on? Maybe something in the manga that has yet to be adapted. That's what we're missing out on. So the mangaka is pushing female authors' needs to rise agenda is disgusting. Another show that they hate already have female authors, Dungeon Meshi Sailor Moon 2, even Gachiagataro, Witch Chat itself. There are many popular. So, listen, if there are unfair infrastructure and push for work from female mangaka to be advertised ahead of other series that are done by men, dishonestly, because there again is a social movement for more inclusivity of females, then I would say, okay, this is some DEI shit. But is that the nature of what's happening right now? Haven't female mangaka been dominating in Japan since the beginning too? If you think about other series like Ranma, I feel like even like 100 Girlfriend, isn't that done by a woman? There are many female mangaka that's been doing this. Is there any push for that? Just because the mangaka says, hey, girl power, like, what are we doing? So if you look at the inside thread, again, this is Tectone's, alt account, or it's his most paid glazer. Basically, it's this, right? So Kodansha, again, if you don't know about them, it's another Japanese corporation that works on animation, right? Is now a UN puppet, guys. We're talking about a framework that is trying to, be more inclusive, aka trying to get more DEI representation. Gender stereotypes, sexualization, all this stuff, right? And WHA is a prime example of this, where the authors, interview with this specific group that, again, is vouching for these policies, is talking about these things. and women's rising role in manga and women's anger in an unstable world, and is looking more like a UN psyop rather than an actual domestically produced story. So do you really think that like this is just Israeli funded UN psyop, guys? The Witch Atelier is truly just there as a secret agent to do, again, a psyop, right? They're here to brainwash and manipulate you. This is trying to sell you different, what's it called, political ideologies and different ways of looking at things that will then somehow make anime look like Netflix American shows. I think this is so fucking ridiculous. Maybe I'm missing out on it. Maybe Kodansha really is ruining everything right now. Chibi got banned by them. My only issue with Kodansha is their ridiculous fucking policy and copyright strikes for works like Shangri-La Frontier. But from what I see, my gut instinct is this is blown out of water, and this is just your typical day on Twitter, where people who are chronically online are whipped up by propaganda and trying to make a fucking mountain out of a molehill, taking such, like statements of an interview that's had and saying it's trying to drastically change. Listen, if the manga and the story was that fucking bad and it felt like a DEI series, no one would watch it, no one would support it. To say that just by watching it, you're ruining anime itself, like this is fucking embarrassing. She didn't push it, UNESCO wrote an article, you think one of the well-acclaimed female authors doesn't acknowledge other successful female authors, misinfo is one thing, this is actually room temperature IQ behavior. And why do you think Okeanomics does this? Why do you think they do this? You just constantly, all they talk about is just how shit this show is. Wait till I change the search query into Freerun in a bit. Again, insane marketing in the West, but it feels industry driven rather than organic, as in again, industry plot, right? You're showing a distribution of, basically ReZero versus WitchChat and domestic interest versus, worldwide interest. It's not that shocking that some shows are gonna be more appealing to like Westerners. Like, sure, this is one graph that you're showing me, right? And I see the worldwide that, your favorite show ReZero is, like it's doing well. It is doing really well. And WitchChat is in blue. Is there that significant of like increase compared to ReZero? I'd say this is like ReZero is less appealing, I guess, internationally compared domestically, while WitchChat is more appealing internationally than domestically. It could be due to the source material. It could be due to the story themes. Like, what are we fucking talking about? But again, just other, points that they're trying to say. Again, setting this shit up. Why are they trying to artificially push Freerun, Dungeon Meshi, and WitchChat Atelier as a big three of fantasy? When ReZero, One Piece, Made in Abyss, and MT are better fantasy series than those three. You mean a post from Anime Post? Do you think this account has any agenda? People like this are just scraping through the fucking internet, viral internet meme posts that they have, and they just repost it over and over again. Bro, what are we doing here? Like, this is just like fucking anime, meme fucking slop accounts. And you're saying that there is some sort of movement, some sort of fucking psyop? More people talking about, just this go on and again. Industry plan. After Freerun. So why do you think Okeanomics hates WitchChat Atelier? Well, first of all, I think it's part because it's fiction. Sorry, of course it's fiction. Part because it's fantasy, right? Because I see that anything that is in the realm of ReZero and could compete with ReZero in that motion, bro will go out of their way to sabotage it. But it's not just any fantasy, because clearly he's fine with some other fantasy shows. I think it's fantasy written by women. You know what I mean? You go to look at this and you look at Freerun. And this is a very important part. I need you to understand this, right? This person has gone out of their way to just shit on Freerun as much as they can. And you know what? There's a part of me that I can agree with. Because of the dishonest, disingenuous movement of trying to get Season 2 as rank 2 on my anime list based off of what? Not Season 2, but off of the momentum and the brand recognition of Season 1. You know what I mean? I think it's that fucking simple. So taking that into account, I could agree with this here. But seeing this dishonest behavior happen over and over again, let's now go back to this thread. And I want you to understand DEI and how much this person hates DEI. What is DEI, by the way? Right? Diversity, inclusion, Basically trying to create separate categories or trying to like create these participation ribbons. You know what I'm talking about? Your shit can't get there organically. Now you need to create other categories or other means to have your show get credited, often through dishonest ways. You look at this thread and it's actually so funny. Okeanos is literally doing the same shit that he condemns. This is a DEI category. You try to prop up episode 4 as the greatest episode of the decade. Not even just in ReZero, we're talking about the entire medium of anime itself. You get pushback, what do? You have to now create, well actually it is the best horror episode in all times, last 5 years or even 10 years. You are literally a DEI retard. Instead of just standing on your dishonest point, you're trying to now make like examples of, well, actually, this is like the best horror anime of all time. And you know what? I would immediately clap back with fucking Made in Abyss, Gordon Ramsay's Soup in season 2. I would even bring up other shows like Summer Hikaru Died, or even like, what's it called? Dark Gathering, which is supposed to be a shocking horror anime. The Meatball episode was actually kind of fucked up. Now, to me, I don't really care about horror that much, right? Anime naturally just isn't that scary. There were moments here and there in Summer Hikaru Died. I think ReZero episode 4 did a better job in that shock horror aspect. Episode 1 of Hikaru Died probably is like the closest in terms of actual horror. But in terms of like gruesome shock, gore and shit, I think Made in Abyss really takes the cake too. So now you are getting so insecure in trying to label this as anime episode of the decade. Not even year, by the way, decade. Now you create a DEI fucking post about how it's horror anime of the fucking year. And it's so funny to me. Ironic coming from you of all people. I actually call best horror episode in the last 10 years of anime episode of the year. Not like you where you see some good fight animation and instant become oh my god episode of the year. And this logic can be exactly spun back at them. Anytime you see fight animation getting hyped up, what they just do is just reduce it to Unga Bunga. Like, you are so dishonest in doing that. There's so many Unga Bunga hype fight animation that doesn't go credited. Think about Hell's Paradise. This anime is Studio, Mappa's probably like middle child. It's weird. It has all the fucking resources and the polish to probably be that aura farming action anime. Yet due to the execution of this series, it's just not there. And this is just one. There are plenty of other action anime that completely goes under the radar because action itself can't convey that anime of the year like JJK can do. A very dishonest and a disingenuous, point trying to just reduce by, oh, it's battle shonen, therefore bad. It's so fucking stupid. It's unreal. Out of all the episode of the year contenders so far this year, Witch Hat number 5 is my favorite. I read the Witch Hat Atelier manga. The episode would be mediocre at best with average animation. If an episode entirely depends on animation quality, then it's not episode of the year contender. Again, production value is not just animation quality. There's many other themes. Just dishonestly trying to, basically argue over each other and fixate on animation this, animation that. What a fucking retard. You hyped that Freeman thing 100% more than this and it didn't even get a 9.7 rating. Well, I wonder why, because that shit was fucking review bombed. I wonder fucking why. It's just, this person is such a nasty little fuck. And I love how they LARP as a girl too on Twitter profile, bro. This is literally the most psyop account that could ever exist on Twitter. And the audacity for them to be talking about psyops. Look in the fucking mirror, retard. You're creating DEI categories of why ReZero could be anime episode of the fucking decade. A claim that not even the hardest ReZero glazers could support. And you know what the best part is? They will continue saying retarded shit that we can just farm for content. It's so fucking easy. But beyond that, what I love, again, I've talked about this concept a lot. What I love are people who are their own downfall. This person is all about ReZero. I love ReZero. But the way that they go on about glazing ReZero comes off so off-putting that all their positive work, and again, trying to create this series to be more accessible, creating translations and other stuff like that, I think is actually pretty good. But all of that completely gets negated with this retardation. And this is just one side of the spectrum when you are over glazing it. The other side of the spectrum is when this person is in every fucking thread of an anime being glazed because it's actually shining through in that season and has to say why ReZero is better. There is nobody that could be a worse representative or an ambassador for ReZero than Okeanix. If this person truly wanted to respect the series and Nagatsuki Tappei's work and spread its love, this is probably the worst way to do it. You're like the Hassan of left political content. You are your own worst downfall. You make your own crowd look so fucking bad that not even Mushoku Tensei glazers could read this and be like, bro, come on, bro. You're making the other ReZero dudes look fucking bad. And again, their existence is a desperate attempt at trying to glaze ReZero, but all of their efforts actually makes it worse and makes people turn away from it. Average well-intentioned people, when they see threads like this, they just, or shit like this, they'll be like, this is fucking crazy. You are the psyop. You are the propaganda machine. And to wrap this up, I gotta say I appreciate the hustle. I genuinely appreciate the hustle and the retardation drama content I can farm for them, and it just doesn't fucking end, baby. There's one more thing I wanted to mention too. What was it? I talked about how actors, bad faith actors being their own downfall is juicy. I talked about how they're the worst representation and actually takes away from ReZero. Oh, right. I think this is a parasite. Yes. So let me explain myself. This person basically uses ReZero and latches onto its fucking teats and tries to milk it for all it's got. Do they have some positive impact? I think they do. Again, in terms of like translating the anime and trying to make it accessible for other people. But that's like 10%. 90% of the other shit they do just basically sabotages the fandom for their own personal gain. And in that way, again, I can respect the hustle and them trying to make something of their social media platform and creating like a side hustle. But at the same time, don't for a fucking second think this person is doing it for ReZero. All they do is benefit from setting up ReZero and the controversy that it comes from. All of their good faith in trying to support ReZero goes out the fucking window. This is a parasite. It's a classic fucking leech. And I think anyone that actually like touches grass, that aren't chronically online, would look at something like this and be like, this is an actual fucking monkey, bro.